Hello, everyone. For the program is Spiritism Inspiring Lives. Today we will be reflecting about the theme, the need for societal life. So we start by welcoming everyone who may be with us right now here, those who later on may join us. And our reflections are based on the Spiritist philosophical perspective of life. Understanding that we are all immortal beings, spirits, beings essentially of love, of light, of goodness, in progress, evolving gradually through the different existences. So we start with the first reflection, which is based on the Spirit's book, which manifests, and we can learn quite a lot about the philosophical aspect of Spiritism. It is a book of questions and answers this book can be found through Amazon and also free of charge through the internet for those who may show interest to dive into it and to read, to reflect, and to learn. So we start in the Spirit's book, question 766. I quote, "Is societal life natural?" And the answers are always given by the enlightened spirits who say, certainly, God has made humans for living in society. Otherwise, it would have been needless for God to have endowed them with speech and all the other faculties necessary for a life of relationships. The law of society, which is one of God's laws that all of us can reflect on in the Spirit's book, and this question here is referring to the law of society, is one of God's laws that is helping us as beings in evolution who have been created in order to live in a social way, helps us to understand why is so important our social involvement as we, let's say, progress further as immortal beings. We don't have the ability to speak for nothing. Surely, sometimes we may come back in new biological experiences with certain limitations, but the spirit in itself is not, although the physical organs may be. So having the ability to talk, it is a blessing for all of us who are social beings by nature, in order for us to learn to spread the good news, to disseminate what is good under the universal law of goodness. It helps us to console each other, helps us to develop healthy relationships, starting within our families, our neighbors, our society, in different aspects where we may be engaged. Also helps us to give hope to others through what we are already conquered and learned in terms of supporting ourselves through our challenging moments as beings in evolution. Challenging moments does not necessarily be a negative reference that we bring with us. That is merely a natural mechanism that how we evolve. So here would be the invitation for us to reflect within, how am I using my speech faculty given by God? What am I doing with it? Which kind of seeds I'm sowing in the garden of life, in the society where I'm living? These are very profound questions for us. Celia, good afternoon. Welcome to our study. And as we carry on, still in the Spirit's book, question 767, I quote, "Is absolute isolation contrary to the law of nature?" And the enlightened spirits are enlightening our consciousness by saying, yes, because people instinctively seek societal living, and because all of them must cooperate in humanity's progress by mutually helping one another. So as we are gregarious beings, social beings by our divine nature, then we naturally seek out to be in contact with other beings once we are healthy within. Sometimes we may go through challenging moments which are temporary, that we feel like isolating ourselves, but that is not good, because we nourish each other through the social contact. As I mentioned previously, I reframe again, the social aspects that starts within our family setting. From a spiritual perspective, the family itself is the first society where the spirit comes back and in contact with on earth. So any kind of group of people where we may be part of, that is a part that we can constantly expand our higher faculties and practice, or goodness that we bring in seed within ourselves. So the objective of reincarnation for all of us is to evolve, is to progress, and we evolve and progress in practicing goodness within ourselves and around us. And the goodness which I'm referring here has nothing to do with selfishness. It has to do with the good which is according to the universal law of life, of existence. Meaning, what is good for me also needs to be good for my neighbor, for all of those that I'm living with, and also needs to be good today, good tomorrow, and good in the future. Because what is really, truly, fully good will never change. What changes is our ability to practice, and that ability will get better and better as we ourselves potentialize ourselves more and more, using our own free will as more as we progress, helping each other. For instance, some of us may know math, others may not know math. So I can go to the school, which I will do, or I can have an extra class of support so that there is someone there who knows math. I can ask a friend. Others may like gardening, and I don't understand anything about gardening. Through the social interaction, I can learn, actually show interest. We don't learn everything in once. We learn it gradually through the different existences. I may find it challenging to live in a social environment because of my own imperfections, limitations, or shadows. As the being, essentially loving being in evolution, but I can challenge myself and determine, choosing freely, that I want to go beyond where I am now. I want to practice forgiveness. I want to practice tolerance. I want to practice honesty. I want to practice fraternity, brotherhood, and so on and so forth. So once we focus on the positive elements that we can promote ourselves, that also stimulates us living in a social environment. We're still moving forward in the Spirit Spoke question 768. The question is, I quote, in seeking societal living, do people only obey a personal sentiment? Or is there a wider providential purpose involved? That is a very interesting question, don't you think so? And again, the answer is given by the Enlightened Spirits who are helping us to analyze ourselves. Well, if there is a sentiment there, or is there anything wider, broader, providential to be involved? Let's see what we learn. I quote, no man has complete faculties. Through the social contact, they complete each other to ensure their well-being and progress. That is why, in need of each other, men were made to live in society and not isolated. Here, when we refer in the question men, meaning people, individuals, could be guys or women, doesn't matter. We are spirits in essence. So man has no complete faculties. We are all processes in evolution, perfecting ourselves. And the social contact is a divine mechanism helping us through the interaction to notice our own imperfections, like pride, selfishness, indifference sometimes, challenging to silence or on mental or emotional disturbances. So we can always heal a bit more ourselves. That is, promote ourselves a bit more in the virtuous aspects that we bring innate in ourselves. They are awaiting our own initiative in using our free will to stimulate them within ourselves. So when we relate with each other, helping each other, we are also learning with each other. When we use our faculty to talk, to speech, as I mentioned in the first slide, then we also can, in talking with each other in a healthy way, sharing ideas, sharing knowledge, we help to promote ourselves and promote other beings in evolution which are part of our universal family. We are all elements of the universal family, but sometimes we still may think that family is only the biological level. That is the start point, but it's not on the bigger picture. We are inserted and are part of the universal family. And as more as we engage in training our healthy aspects, sometimes not succeeding, we forgive ourselves and give ourselves new opportunities. And as more we override our own limitations in choosing to be good, in choosing to cooperate, in choosing even to do what I'm not asked to do, merely as more the spirit evolves through self-love, and self-love is a proposal of fulfilling our duties as healthy beings in a society. We are no longer measuring our actions like 2 + 2 is 4. No. We are in different ways, in different movements and values, how we address the experiences which are temporal, transitory. So as more we mature through self-love, which happens through taking the responsibility in fulfilling our duties as healthy beings in evolution within the society where God placed us, we find it easier to move around, to cooperate, even to do what I'm not asking. If that is to favor the goodness amongst people, then we are in the right direction. And as more as we stimulate ourselves rationally, consciously, why we are doing that under the natural laws of life, more we actually are also becoming stronger psychologically, emotionally. We are impacted our high self-esteem, our inner confidence, our inner security. We are becoming healthier beings, elements in the society where we live. And sometimes in choosing these internal abilities, we can even heal ourselves to the point that through the journey of progress, we can evade certain illnesses because we are stimulating the good energies within ourselves. And of course, through the law of reincarnation, no one came back to the school earth in order to isolate ourselves, because that wouldn't be helping us to stimulate, to activate, and to nourish the goodness, all the abilities of goodness that we bring within. And still all of us, myself and all of us, still need to practice them more. Then going further in the Spirit's book, our journey today is within the Spirit's book by Allan Kardec, the question 769, and I quote, "We can understand that as a general principle, societal life is founded on the laws of nature. But since all tastes are also natural, why would a taste for absolute isolation be condemnable if someone finds satisfaction in it?" It's interesting, this question following the previous one, isn't it? And now, more interesting is the answer that the enlightened spirits are giving to us, saying, selfish satisfaction. There are also those who find satisfaction in drunkenness. Do you approve that? God cannot consider as pleasing a life in which people condemn themselves to being useless to everyone. we are in this enriched possibility through the reincarnation, which means back to earth through a new physical body, as all souls who are evolving and progressing in order to live selfish lives. The cooperation, the interaction on a social level helps us gradually diminish the selfishness within ourselves, because selfishness is the ill of the soul and brings a lot of torments, conflicts, dissatisfaction in our existences. While when we open our hearts and go and cooperate in the society in different ways, everyone looks around where we can be useful, because work according to the natural laws of the universe is every good action that we do, even starting with selecting our thoughts, which are constructive, which helps us to promote us, which stimulates us to overcome our own imperfections. And then selfishness, of course, God cannot consider pleasing a life, and neither is good for us, as I just mentioned, because if we insist to live in a selfish way, we usually suffer quite a lot on our inner mental and emotional dimension, because these choices, although we can make them because we have the free will, but they are coming from a very ill part of ourselves, and in that way we are not healing ourselves, we are not nourishing ourselves, we are not promoting ourselves. This is the cause and the whys we sometimes may feel very suffocated or not pleased in life, or with the sense that something is missing, although we may have everything that is possible on the financial materialistic perspective, yet we feel empty within. The inner emptiness we can only feel contacting with ourselves, understanding that we are loving beings in essence, and choosing to expand practice as long as it takes, practicing goodness, forgiveness, tolerance, learning to understand that we are all brothers and sisters in the society where we are living, despite of the different backgrounds. Today we live where we are living, tomorrow, in a different existence. We may be in a different country, with different biological families, or speaking a different language, but the language of love is equal to everyone, everywhere, throughout all times. And then we carry on here. In the question 775, is still in the Spirit's book. What would be the result for society if family ties were relaxed? And someone may say, well, what are you talking about family if the theme today is society living? Well, the first society within its spiritual perspective, where the spirit comes back on earth, is our family. And then what would be the result for society if family ties were relaxed? And the enlightened spirits are teaching us a magnification of selfishness. We still can see that because we are learners of ourselves in all the moments where we are living in these days. The challenging in the schools, which is the next step of any child, which is the old spirit coming through a new existence, through a new physical body. And then if the family settings are not balanced, are not healthy, then that will reflect in the next phase in the society level, which is the schools. And we see so much damaging behaviors these days. So it's fundamental, if we are as parents temporarily going through these experiences, that we may educate our children from a more humane perspective. And always, always don't feel tired to practice that and teach to the children to be good people, to be good person, to be forgiving, to help each other, so that we can promote goodness within the children, within the adolescents. So when it comes to the adult level, that we impact a new generation of adult people in a more conscious way. It's fundamental that these changes happen and start from each one of us within ourselves. Moving forward in the question 700, the question here, Here I am. I'm sorry. Now we reflect a bit with the Spirit Emmanuel in his book Roteiro, in the message chapter 32 entitled Collaboration. And he states, I quote, "The new revelation invites us naturally to reflect on our role in the moral order of life. Each creature is a significant piece in the gear of progress. So without worthy work is the shadow of inertia in the concert of general harmony. Brains and hearts, hands and feet, in inactivity, hollow words, and air-right thoughts constitute a deplorable freezing of the service of evolution. The new revelation will be the new order in the universe. Although it looks like chaotic at the moment, but there is great deep change occurring already. And we are all invited to participate in building a new society through the new ways of being, which will be ethical and moral abilities to interact with each other, so that we enlight our own shadows, as Young refers to. As the Spirit Joana de Anjos teaches us, enlight your own shadows. In that way, we become more enlightened beings, meaning more forgiving, more tolerant, more cooperative, because we free ourselves from the negativity, from the materialistic perspective of life. Brains and hearts, meaning where I am in my ability to develop my intellectual and emotional intelligence. That was the general good. That was the universal good. What are my hands, if God gave them to me through my physical body? What are they doing? Are they favoring service towards the good for all? I am using them to move, to create good movements, actions in relation to the social environment where I am. What predominates in my thoughts? Do I have good thoughts, but they are never extended to actions? Good thoughts is very good that we start to have, because we evolve firstly through the intellectual intelligence. But if I just think good and think about brotherhood, think about helping and cooperating, but I never go on the action level, then my emotional dimension, my heart, is blocked in indifference and selfishness. And we are here to unblock that. Believe me, we can do that. We all can do that. And as we're coming towards the end, reflecting, spiritual evolution is a continuous and necessary process. For the spirit, to love is to recognize in the other a reflection of the Creator. When we cultivate love, we abandon the egoistic postures and work for a harmonious coexistence, essential for moral and intellectual progress. We all can always improve us a bit more. Surely we all also are dealing with our shadows, but we are not the shadows. We are all dealing with our imperfections, but we are not the imperfections. We are enlightened beings by nature. We are loving individuals by nature, as we have been created by God, God who is the Father of everyone, everywhere, and is a Father of love, who embraces us all and inviting us as children, as we are, of His creation, so that we can learn to love each other. Love each other means respecting each other. Even when people may not do what we may choose to do, let's respect everyone and be the one who develops the inner courage to go beyond ourselves, expanding more tolerance, fraternity, solidarity, engagement in supporting proposals of goodness which favor to unite humanity in the big universal family aspect in the society where we live, starting in our homes, in our schools, in our universities, in our workplaces, in the society where we are. Respecting each other, it is an act of love. Cooperating without distinction, it is an action of love. Forgiving each other, it is an action of love. So we can see that we all can practice goodness and favor a better society for today, for tomorrow, and even in the future. So in that way, I wish you much peace to all, and I hope to see you soon with more reflections. Bye-bye.